This is unacceptable. I'm sorry, it is. When I agreed to work with you on the work group, we talked about the importance of transparency and accountability. And here, what we are seeing is business as usual. And you know this, Amelia. You know this, Jacob. I don't know how you guys slept that night. I couldn't sleep at night. Tears from a mother's perspective, thinking about what happened. I saw the picture of Amir. He looks like a boy. My son is 17 years old. He has slept on his friends' couches for sleepovers. So we cannot sit here and whitewash this and pretend that it's okay.
That was Nekima Levy Armstrong addressing interim police chief Amelia Huffman in Minneapolis, as well as Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. She is the co-chair of the Minneapolis's new Commission on Community Safety, and she's, of course, a civil rights lawyer and a racial justice activist. Let me welcome to the show, Nekima Levy Armstrong. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I felt everything that you said because I can't imagine. I've slept on couches, friends' couches. He was under the covers. You know what that's like, 6 something in the morning. They have a key. They come into the place and it doesn't seem like they even gave him a chance to identify himself, to put his hands up, to identify what's going on. When you're awakened out of your sleep, you're disoriented. He wasn't given a chance to be a human being in that moment. And we've seen this before, though. We've seen this before. Where are we, Nekima? And what are you doing in Minneapolis in terms of this case with Amir Locke?
Well, as you said, there is a lot going on. We actually just wrapped up a press conference here at City Hall in Minneapolis that included the centering of Black mothers and Black women's voices who were shaken by what happened to Amir Locke and who are connecting it to their own sons and their own loved ones, and who are taking a stand and demanding justice, transparency, and accountability from the Minneapolis mayor as well as the interim chief of police. So since that press conference that a lot of folks have been talking about, where we disrupted business as usual, the next day the mayor issued a statement calling for a temporary moratorium on the use of no-knock warrants and saying that they're going to look at the policy yet again. But they just changed the policy supposedly in November of 2020. And the mayor campaigned on this notion of banning or significantly reducing the use of no-knock warrants. But clearly someone was asleep at the wheel to allow this to happen. And I think what's even more jarring about this situation is that the judge who signed off on this no-knock warrant, Judge Peter Cahill, is the same judge who oversaw the trial of Derek Chauvin, who is the Minneapolis police officer who killed George Floyd on May 25th of 2020.
So, but is it about the warrant though, Nekima? Is it about the no-knock warrant? Is it about, you had George Floyd, you have another police officer on trial, and I think she was convicted for
Pam Potter, who killed Daunte Wright.
Daunte Wright, right. Taser, 26 years on the force. You train people. You don't know the difference between your taser and your gun. Come on. I beg to differ. I think if Amir Locke is a white man, that he doesn't get gunned down like this. I don't feel like because it looked like one of the cops made sure he was shot. Like it looked like he was moving his hand of the other officer to make sure he got the target. I feel like something is going on here, and I can't put my finger on it, but it doesn't seem right. It's not sitting right with my spirit.
No, none of it is right. Just the fact that they got a key fob to enter into the apartment, which was not Amir's apartment. As everyone could see from the body camera video, he was asleep on the couch, and it was literally 9 seconds from the time that the SWAT team entered the apartment to the time that Amir Locke was murdered. And if you look at the body camera footage, you'll see one of the officers actually kick the couch where Amir was sleeping. And then 2 seconds later, as Amir's head began to emerge from under the blanket, he was executed, shot twice in the chest and once in the wrist. And I think the reason that people are focusing on no-knock warrants is just thinking about what happened to Breonna Taylor and how these no-knock warrants are executed in a very violent manner, particularly when it comes to Black people and Black homes that they are trying to raid, because we hear about the no-knock warrant issues when people are killed, but we don't hear about the overwhelming majority of no-knock warrants where they have literally destroyed people's homes, traumatized people's babies, and caused so much destructive energy to flood people's place of residence. And again, there's no accountability on the back end when these things happen.
Your home is your sanctuary. At least that's the way that's the place where you should feel safe, inside your home. That's why we have locks on the doors on the inside to keep the bad guys out. But when the bad guys wear badges and have guns and a license to execute you, it becomes a problem. You're an attorney, civil rights attorney. You've been doing some amazing work in Minneapolis, and I don't know what's going on in that part of the world that we keep having these cases there. But what, I was saying before you got here, we were raised to believe you're innocent until proven guilty. But if you don't have a chance to even go to court, you don't even have a chance to plead your case because you're dead, then justice never comes. How do we deal with that? How do we reconcile with that, Nekima?
I can't personally reconcile with it. That's why we're in the streets constantly shutting things down. I don't know how many freeways we've had to shut down, places of business, disrupt meetings of elected officials where they're engaging in business as usual. And we've had an unprecedented number of Black people, and particularly Black women who are running for office here, many of whom have actually won those seats so that they can become the decision makers in key areas that affect the lives of Black people. So I don't think we should ever become comfortable and complacent with the status quo and business as usual. We have to use our voices, and we have to hold these people accountable. They come knock on our door, send us campaign literature, tell us to vote for them. But when the rubber meets the road, do they follow through on those promises? And if they don't, then it's our responsibility to hold them accountable for doing what they said or to get them out of office.
So what does accountability look like? Nekima Levy Armstrong is here. You can follow her at N as in Nancy, V as in Victory, Levy, Levy on Twitter. What does accountability look like for you? Because you stood there and let them have it. It was like a 5-minute dissertation on how fed up you are and how they must do better. And we'll tweet that out. But what does accountability look like from your standpoint? And what can we do? Because we don't live in Minneapolis. We are not going to shut down the highways there. What can we do, those of us who are all over the globe right now, to help? I'm like frustrated to make a difference.
Right. Well, I think if people want to support what's happening here, they can call the mayor of Minneapolis and demand that he fire the police officer, Mark Hanneman, who actually fired the 3 shots that killed Amir Locke.
Wait, one man fired all 3 of the shots?
Yes, one man fired all 3 of the shots, and he is still on the force to this day after what he did. We're also calling on the Attorney General to charge, and hopefully there will be a conviction of this man for what he did. We're calling for the firing or the resignation of interim police chief Amelia Huffman, because she agreed to provide oversight of the Minneapolis Police Department. Clearly, some way, somehow, this situation slipped through the cracks for them to be able to get this no-knock warrant. But beyond that, she was a part of what I would call a cover-up. Bringing out half-truths, putting out misleading statements, allowing for Amir Locke's a picture of his gun and bullets to be released to the public, making them think this was a violent criminal who got what he deserved, and not revealing to people that Amir Locke was not named in the search warrant. If it wasn't for Amir Locke's family, the public would still be in the dark about what happened. But I know Amir's cousin, and she reached out to me on the day that he was killed to let me know that it was her cousin. And then later that night, after we had held a press conference in the freezing cold, calling out elected officials and the police, her family supplied me with very specific information about what happened in this case. First of all, revealing Amir Locke's name for the first time, which no one knew, and all of those other details, such as the fact that it wasn't his apartment, he was asleep on a couch, He had a conceal and carry permit, and different things like that, that again, the public would not have been privy to without this family utilizing their connections to help bring these issues to light.
And he was working to start his own music label. Like he was working. He was working.
Yes, he was a week away from leaving the Twin Cities and moving to Texas to be with his mother so that he could take his music career to the next level. And now his dreams were just snuffed out by murderous police officers who were not held accountable for what they have done. And they still have not been held accountable from my perspective.
All right,
I just want to say real quick that last night we actually had a demonstration outside of the home of the interim police chief, a very affluent neighborhood. We were out there in the freezing cold, chanting and rallying and demonstrating. And we actually set up a memorial site in front of her home in honor of Amir Locke. We put 7 crosses on her lawn with flowers, and the crosses have Amir Locke's name painted on them.
Oh, this is what I'm talking. This is activism. And Nekima, I would love to have you back on because I want to go through your whole background because you've been doing this work. And these are the unseen, we saw you because we heard you, but we need to know you because you have the blueprint for what this looks like. And I just appreciate your tireless efforts there. And we're going to give out the number. You're going to give me the number to the mayor and the police chief, because this audience is going to call them incessantly after you leave. I'm so grateful. And if you need anything, please reach out to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for covering this.